Thank you guys for coming out here. It really means a lot to me as a youth being in Johnson County school system to have a lot of people support and be out here to care so much about our school system. My name is Raekwon Hardy. I'm a 2016 graduate of Smith-Selma High School right over here. The way that I met Mr. Johnson over here is because he used to be my school resource officer when I was in Smithfield Middle School. And at that time, when I was a middle school kid, the school could use some cleaning up as far as the students. A lot of the students, including myself, had some rough times going to school through gang violence, drug violence, criminal activity outside of school. And so he really took on the responsibility to make sure we were okay getting to the bus stops, making sure we were getting to school healthy, making sure our grades were intact. And so when he asked me to help him and volunteer on his campaign team, for me it was a no-brainer. A lot of my friends who are now scholar athletes, who will now go on to get great jobs, good education. Back then, a lot of people would have given up on them. And so his motto was to take kids who maybe didn't have the opportunities, or maybe had the brains to, but just didn't have the guidance, and guide them towards a way to where they could succeed and be a graduating class just like me. The school system to me in Johnson County did a lot for making sure that kids had after-school tutoring and stuff like that. A lot of those kids didn't really care about after-school tutoring. Felt like they weren't good enough. Probably don't feel like they're good enough now. And back then, Mr. Johnson would do after-school programs for us. Like he would run basketball games and have little after-school tutorial sessions, because some of those kids didn't have parents to make sure they got those tutorial sessions. And so now that we're all adults now, we're able to vote. It means a lot to us to go to the polls and have someone on the Johnson County School Board who was right there with us in our home environments, at the school, at the lunch cafeteria, and making sure we were actually important, even though we already had a big Johnson County school team who thought we were important already. So for me, I felt like I'm standing out here for all those kids who were forgot about when I'm out there helping Mr. Johnson, out here making sure, encouraging young people to vote. I see a lot of young kids say that their vote doesn't matter, or it won't change anything, or no one cares. But for me, I knew someone who had my back. I knew someone who I could call when things got rough. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of good Johnson County students. Mr. Johnson is a good representative for the Johnson County schools because he was actually out here in the field with the children. A lot of people say they have records dealing with children. A lot of people say that they know how children think, but I know for a fact this man knows the minds of children and what's best for them, and how we can manipulate different systems to make sure that they get to the opportunities to where they can be graduates. I know for a fact that a lot of my friends who graduated with me on that stage were in those programs that I was in. And if it probably wasn't for those programs, they probably wouldn't have been a graduate this year. So it's appreciative to me to have a person who was out there with me to support me. Fortunately, I had parents who were on my behind about getting my grades right, who would take my stuff away, who would say no basketball, no video games. Some of my friends didn't have those type of parents. So it's appreciative to go to school and have someone who you can vent to, who would actually say no basketball today if your tutoring session is not completed. He was always seen as the cool guy at school. You know? And you don't really find many officers who people think are cool. But he was one of those guys. And so back to the session, he would say, all right guys, you can come and play basketball for an hour or two after school, but you gotta go and complete your assignments. You gotta make sure you're completing your attendance. And so for us to have someone who would get on us, besides your parents, at a school, who took that extra step to make sure, oh wow, I had to take this serious. And so it encouraged me personally to go to school, to take my tests in spelling bees seriously. That way I can go and not be the lame one, not at the basketball program after school. And a lot of kids took it that way. So for me, I encourage you guys to vote for Mr. Johnson, because He's actually out here with the kids. He knows what goes on in school and out of school. And he's going to use the Johnson County School Board and the other school board members to make sure that students just like me are getting the best of their buck when they go to school. Thank you guys, and have a great evening.